a good time. It was a different time maybe this year, but I trust that it was good. It was good. It was in our house. It was quiet. It was different. Um, but once again, I think I start every Sunday morning this way in gratitude for technology that connects us. I have gratitude for the technology that connected us with our families. On Christmas, we had Zoom with my family. We talked with Bobby's family. We watched grandchildren open presents from us. I mean, it wasn't like being there, but we were there. We were together, and we shared the love that we have for one another. And we continue to do that with one another here every Sunday morning since the second week in March. And I truly am amazed by that. I truly am, that we can continue to celebrate this thing called life. This month, all month long, I have been talking about the gifts that can keep on giving, the gifts that keep on giving, the gifts that expand as we fall into them, move into them. And it's just such a wonderful thing. And we began this month with spiritual practice. As we do every month, we focus on a spiritual practice, but recognizing this month how that gift of our spiritual practice, those tools, sustain us. And I can't tell you how many times in the last month, probably, I have said, I am so grateful for this teaching and for these tools that I have. It has really helped me during my home remodeling. And I guess you can imagine that. And then last week, we talked about divine truth, the gift of divine truth, and that circled back to spiritual practice. And this morning, I'm talking about the gifts of the past, present, and future. And this is part one, because next week we're gonna continue it. But the gift of past, present, and future. And that brings us back again to meditation, to the practice of mindfulness, to being aware of what's going on in our minds, in our bodies, how we're reacting. This time of year, I love this time of year when we have the intention, when we really set aside the time, I think most of us do, to reminisce and reconcile before we move forward into the new year with anticipation of the new year being even better. But this year, gosh darn it, was such a doozy, wasn't it? I mean, this year brought many of us to our knees. And I figure we need a bit more preparation. We need a bit more preparation before we do just the typical closure of the year. Especially if we really expect next year to be different. If we really expect next year to be different, then we need to be different. And now is the time for us to recognize that. Yeah. So join me in prayer, in knowing that we live and move and have our being in this immense and loving and supportive universe, that it is endless in its scope, infinite in its support. And its presence is right here, available in, as, and through us as we align ourselves with this truth, knowing that there's only one thing ever happening. That thing called life, is right here, right now, in its fullness. And I am inseparable from it. And what I know for myself, I know for each person tuning in right here and right now. I know for everyone, everywhere, for everything. This is the truth that life, spirit, God, that source and substance, comes from the invisible into the visible form. And it does so this morning by means of me, by my conscious intention. I affirm for myself and everyone else that there is a spark. There's a match made in the mind. There's a match made in heaven this morning that connects what it is that we want, what it is that we no longer need, and the way to release it. It is here now. It is here now. And for this, I am so incredibly grateful. This is the gift that keeps on giving. and I accept. And so it is. Oh yeah, I accept, and so it is. That is the key. When we accept, then it is. No doubt. Well, I'm excited this morning. I'm excited for our conversation. I'm excited because our guest musician is my beloved, is Bobby Feberts, and you know, you haven't seen him in a couple weeks. So I'm really excited that he's back here with us, ready to go, ready to inspire. Here he is, Bob Feberts.
Thank you, Theresa. Thank you very much. Hi, everybody. It has been a while. I'm glad to be with you this morning. I'm going to open up with a rockin' song from Melissa Felipe called Kicking and Screaming Down the Path of Transformation. I hope we can do it with less kicking and screaming. Here we go. I used to disown myself. I didn't know I was frightened. I wouldn't let myself be angry. It wasn't enlightened. Then my friend told me to really be free. I've got to be embracing every part of me. So even though sometimes it feels like pulling teeth, I go kicking and screaming down the path of transformation. My higher self and my dark side giving me my information. Learning to love every part of myself, even parts I'd hidden on the highest shelf. Kicking and screaming down the path of transformation. I like to think of myself as wise, full of insight so rare. I think I really go with the flow and know I will stay there. I get to thinking I can handle any old change, then something new shows up and life gets rearranged. Suddenly I'm struggling and feeling so strange as I go kicking and screaming down the path of transformation. My higher self and my dark side giving me my information. Learning to love every part of myself, even parts I'd hidden on the highest shelf. Kicking and screaming down the path of transformation. Sometimes it's a hard road, this working to become enlightened. Can't say it always makes me rejoice, but looking at the options, it's still my choice. So I'm going kicking and screaming down the path of transformation. My higher self and my dark side giving me my information. Learning how to live every part of myself, even parts I'd hidden on the higher self. Kicking and screaming down the path of transformation. Kicking and screaming down the path of transformation. Kicking and screaming down the path of transformation. All right, and now to Mike with today's reading.
Good morning, my spiritual community. My reading from Science of Mind this morning is entitled In the Present Moment. And you know, being in the present moment is a gift from God. Ernest Holmes says, time and space are unknown in mind. The past and the present are one. In Thornton Wilder's play, Our Town, Emily, a young girl who has died, looks back on her life and asks, does anybody realize how wonderful life really is while they live it? Signs of Mind teaches us to invest our attention in living as full a life as we can today. Even so, yesterday has a way of distracting us from today. We may be in the middle of something enjoyable when suddenly a memory of a negative or challenging event from the past emerges and changes our otherwise happy mood. The memory may be from something that happened minutes, days, or even years ago, yet it still can have the power to distract us from enjoying our present moment. We can learn a great deal from our mistakes or the mistakes we've made in the past. If we're mindful, then rather than turning away from thoughts of yesterday to avoid difficult memories, we may instead acknowledge a memory when it arises and declare ourselves willing to learn and grow from it. We may then bless and thank the memory and return our thoughts gently to the present moment or activity. Taking inspiration from the recently deceased Emily, we might give our attention to what is wonderful in our lives right now and appreciate it. Take a moment right now to scan your immediate surroundings, allowing your gaze to pause on something near to you that is meaningful. Spend a moment with that object of your attention, and while you're looking at it, notice what peace and beauty there is in being in the moment. Today I dwell in the present moment and feel the richness of its blessings. Thank you. God bless everyone. And here's Bobby again.
Thank you very much, Mike. Mike Rosario, thank you for doing that. And thank you, everybody, for your compliments. This next song is a Daniel Nahmod song. It's called This I Know. I know a place where gravity doesn't work on me, a place where what I dream will come to be, a place where I wake up, the sun is shining, I am free. I know a time when pure excitement's in the air, a time when great things happen everywhere, such a time that hope and joy are all I need to take me there. That place is here, that time is now. I am the one to make it so. This I know, this I know. I know a man who follows through on every word, man who sings a new song like a bird, a man who lives a life the likes of which you've never heard. That man is me. That time is now. I am the one to make it so. This I know, this I know. I know it's up to us to get it right. I know that God's within us, shining its light. I know that we can do whatever we can dream. I know that life is more wonderful than it even seems. I know a world where peace and love are everything, a world where kindness is a common thing, a world where faith in God and love for people is what we sing. That world is ours, that time is now. We are the ones to make it so. This I know, this I know. That world is ours, that time is now. We are the ones to make it so. This I know, 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 this I know. And now we're going to welcome Theresa back up here.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you, Theresa.
I just had an amazing feeling about what we're doing here. Looking at all of you online, making your comments, and welcoming Bobby back to the camera, and grateful for his music and sharing his talents. And again, I've said this for a couple weeks, we're in the midst of remodeling our house, and so it's like this little section looks pretty good, but what I'm seeing, if you could see what I'm seeing. But you know, when there's an intention, when there's a purpose, when there is something that you just absolutely have to share, you can and you will do it in spite of anything else around, because that's spirit expressing. And I was just really overwhelmed by that, listening to that last song that Bobby shared. So thank you, Bobby. And thank all of you for continuing to support this ministry and what we're doing. All right, now to my talk. My title, as I said, is The Gift of Past, Present, and Future, Part 1. And it came to me, that title came to me, but without the talk, without the text, without the message. I just had this title, and I had a vague idea of what I wanted to say. Really, a pretty vague idea of what I wanted to say until this morning, really. And last night, I kept thinking that it had something to do with a Christmas carol, past, present, future. And we're at Christmas. I kept thinking it had something to do with Christmas carol, but that didn't really fit what I felt like I was being called to share. So anyway, we watched it last night. So I thought, well, maybe that's going to give me some inspiration. We watched it last night, and we chose, there were, I don't remember how many, he said something like 9 or 11 different versions of the story written by Charles Dickens. And so we chose the Disney because both Bobby and I had memories of that being a scary movie, and so we thought, well, the Disney version with Jim Carrey would be a little lighter. No, it was not. It was not. If you've seen it, it really wasn't any less scary. And there were moments where Bobby and I both, jumped and jerked and had the covers up around us. But I imagine you know the story, right? So here's Scrooge, the crusty old penny pincher, who's up against an establishment of ignorance, foolish do-gooders, that are filled with Christmas joy. Ah, humbug, right? Until he's visited by the 3 spirits, the ghost of Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas present, and the ghost of the future, or the Christmas yet to be. Now, I don't believe that we need to be scared out of our wits in order to get value out of the story. And so this morning, my intention is just to offer you a gentle encouragement, a gentle push as we enter the new year, because the same premise applies in Science of Mind as Dickens is using here. You know, we create our lives. We create our lives, our joys, our successes, or our chains, link by link or thought by thought, right? And you add the feeling and the emotional juice to it, and you got something. You got something going on. And if we want the year 2021 to be decidedly different, you and I, need to be decidedly different. We need to make a decision. We need to be conscious. And I personally prefer to do it without the 3 visits from the ghost. But just to review the story for a moment, the first ghost of Christmas past, Ebenezer is visited, and he sees the images on the movie screen of his childhood, school, his first job, and Belle, his beautiful fiance, who leaves him, who breaks their contract and says, "You fear the world too much, Ebenezer. You fear the world too much." Can you relate to that? As we close out 2020, I think many people have been in fear this year. Many of us have been fearful, probably first and foremost of COVID, of the coronavirus. And whether or not we really admit it to ourselves, we fear getting it. We fear someone else is going to get it. And we fear that our health is not substantial enough to weather this virus. And it hit close to home for Bobby and I this week. It hit closer to home this past week than all year long, with family and friends testing positive. We feared the economy. We have feared loss of livelihood. We have fears for our friends of color. We have fears of loss of the democratic way of life. And people on either side of the aisle, you know, wherever you are on the political spectrum, can and many do feel that way. We fear that the wrong political party was going to get into power or got into power or whatever. And just as Scrooge was warned, if he didn't change, if the shadows remained, he'd get more of the same or worse. The future would look worse. So before we release 2020 for what we think is going to be a better year, let us have a time of reflection. Let us really set aside consciously, decidedly time. And I suggest that we do that this coming week, to look for the lessons or the inspiration or the gifts, whatever you choose to call those things that got our attention this past year. And Charles Dickens wrote in a Christmas Carol, "I will live in the past, the present, and the future. The spirits of all 3 shall strive within me. I will not shut out the lessons that they teach." That's the key. Not to shut out the lessons that they teach. So this is calling for a mindfulness moment. Yeah? It's calling for a level of awareness for us. So I'm going to ask you this week to think about what you've been thinking. What have you been thinking, including what you maybe are still railing against? You know, what are you struggling with? What are you fighting against? What do you dislike? Where's your disdain? What are you pushing away? What are you not accepting as is? What are you feeling, and what are you feeding? What are you feeling, and what are you feeding? You know, Ernest Holmes has a lot to say about this. You know, taking the past via our thoughts and projecting it into the future, really creating the future with it. with the past. And many of our spiritual teachers tell us that, many current, like Eckhart Tolle, this is what he teaches. Ernest Holmes, in great book, Living the Science of Mind, says the starting point for creating a better future for ourselves is to deliberately free our minds from the mistakes or the burdens of yesterday and feel that they are no longer held against us. Just like Mike was reading, that they're no longer held against us. And then Eckhart Tolle in The Power of Now says pretty much the same thing. Ernest Holmes, in the starting point, Eckhart says, the beginning of freedom is the realization that you are not your thoughts, you're not even the thinker of those thoughts. We can watch the thinker, and that's the thinker with the small t, right? The thinker with the small t, because he goes on to say that what's activated when we do that is a higher level of consciousness. That higher level of consciousness might be the thinker with the capital T, right? Because that's where we contact the realm of intelligence. Intelligence beyond our incessant, obsessive, monotonous thoughts. That's where we find beauty, love, creativity, joy, inner peace. So if this is what we want to bring into the new year, then let us be in a place of reflection. Let us be in a place of reflection. Again, in Living the Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes has a whole section called How to Build Your Tomorrow Today. How to build your tomorrow today, because we know the power is in this moment. And so he says this, if our todays are filled with regrets about the past, we could become too accustomed to these troubles. Instead, let us set the law of life in motion to create what will happen tomorrow. And he goes on to say, what we did yesterday is only carried into today because we give consent to it. Because we give consent to it. So we're in the driver's seat. So ask yourself, what are you giving consent to? This is some valuable real estate, right? What are you renting it out to? Here's another way to see that. That was for all my realtor friends. So for all my gardener friends, what are we planting? What seeds are we planting in the fertile soil of consciousness, right? And maybe we need to do some weeding. Because how we want to show up next year is important to what we're thinking today, right? It's critical. So before, though, we, quote, disconnect ourselves from these obsessive negative thoughts, which is disconnect ourselves from them, is used both by Eckhart and Ernest. So how we disconnect, or before we disconnect from those thoughts, we want to recognize what they are, right? And we want to have a level of awareness of them. So Eckhart Tolle says that the chatter that goes on incessantly in our heads is usually comments about what's going on, speculation, judgments, comparisons, complaints. You know the deal, right? And so we want to listen into that self-talk, right? Be in a place of observation, because it can be gentle, it can be loving, as Reverend Dr. Edward Billion recommends in the Science of Mind magazine, which Mike was reading from. He's doing the daily reads this month, and they're brilliant. And Tuesday and Wednesday next week offer us a beautiful guide for this kind of practice. So if you want some prompts, pick up the magazine. Ernest Holmes says that it is wise to occasionally review the past and try to find out what we've been thinking and doing to create this burden in our minds, the burden that we carry forward. So we want to do some, self-assessment, an evaluation of ourselves in a sense. But again, it's not to berate ourselves. It's not to find fault, but to simply become aware of the tendencies of our thinking, and then tease that apart and see if you can't find the beliefs behind those tendencies of thinking. And then what we do so beautifully in the science of mind is shine the light of truth upon them, right? Because the truth always is that you and I are unique incarnations of the divine with everything we need to live a beautiful, successful, loving, fun, joy-filled life. We are infused with love. We are here to love. Let us experience life that way. Little commercial for the practitioners. You know, you may want somebody to do this journey with you, this walk over the next couple weeks, few weeks. Go to email prayer@cslculturalcoast.org, and we'll get a practitioner for you to work with you. I have been doing this process, and so I've identified a couple things that I really want to experience differently in the new year, which means I must be different, right? So I've allowed myself, this is full disclosure here, without naming the person, I've allowed myself to become resentful this year with someone in my sphere, and I've been feeling like I was treated unfairly or not seen the way I want to be seen or accepted as the way I want to be accepted. So do I want that to continue? Do I want that relationship to continue in that way into the new year? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So I've decided that it stops with me now. It stops with me now. So I've actually laid out a couple things for me to do. And that's what practitioners will often do with you is we listen, we know the truth, we shine the light of truth, but we might give homework. So I've given myself some homework beyond prayer to do to help me reconcile this situation. Again, Ernest Holmes says that the most wonderful thing about this is that we do not have to change anything but ourselves. We don't have to change anything but ourselves. I don't have to change the other person. That's not my job. But when I change myself, everything around me changes. So you might have some decisions to make. You know, do you want to gain another 10 pounds in 2021? Oh, wait, that was for me too. Wait. Do you want to struggle under a 7-day week load? Wait, that was for me too. I don't know what it is for you. I don't know what it is for you. But I suggest that you sit and watch the movie, the mental pictures that you have, that you listen to the script, you listen to what you're repeating. Eckhart Tolle says that this voice is always interpreting things from the past. That we're always doing that, bringing the past into the present. And the past belongs to the conditioned mind, right? The things out there, the conditioned mind. So, what's your conditioned mind been busy with? I joined these guys, Ernie and Eckhart, in suggesting that we free our minds, and stop creating our future from the past. And, you know, we can't really go back into January, February, March, April, May, June of 2021, can we? We can't go back, but how about hindsight? What about that phrase, hindsight is 2020? You know, when we entered into 2020, everybody was talking about how it was the year of a clear vision. We were going to have great vision. Well, I don't know how many people, especially if I look on Facebook for my information, how many people were really clearly, divinely, godly, connectedly, spiritually seeing 2020. As it was offering us. But it is easier to analyze and evaluate situations when we look backwards, when we look from hindsight, right? So we do that now. We do that now, today, this now moment. That's where your spark is ignited, right now. Scrooge didn't wait. You know, he didn't waste a minute. Once he became enlightened by the visits of the spirits that fateful Christmas Eve, he got busy. making things right. He changed his mind. He saw the light and he did things differently. We can live this day knowing how creatively, powerfully our minds are. The use of the mind is our use of mind, our individual use of it. It's powerful. Again, Ernest Holmes, if we make every day a day of praise and thanksgiving, a day in which we recognize the divine bounty and the eternal goodness, and if we live today as though God were the only presence and the only power there is, we would not have to worry about tomorrow. Yeah. Amen to that, right? Yeah. So let us follow his advice, because he goes on to say, if we disconnect ourselves from the past and find ourselves firmly rooted in God today, now, in love, in hope, in joyful expectancy, in grateful acknowledgement, and if we learn to harmonize with everything that transpires today, tomorrow will blossom. It'll blossom like a new flower in our experience. We need not worry about that if we're clear today. So again, I invite you, if you want the help, to contact myself, Red G, one of the practitioners, and let us walk with you in this. I want nothing more than to love and support each person that is interested in making life better for themselves and for the world, So next week, tune in, because we will be poised to release the old and welcome the new with the burning bowl ceremony. We are going to do it online, so this will be a different experience for probably every single one of us, including myself. I will give you a reminder later in the week to show up on Sunday with some kind of a bowl or a bucket, a candle, paper, pencil, and be ready to do this ritual. So again, thank you so much. And I know this is good work that you are doing. And here we have Bobby with another song from those really enlightened spiritual teachers, the Allman Brothers.
That's right. Thank you, Theresa. Thank you for that message. I want to let go. There's so much to let go of. I want to let go of it. So this is called Soul Shine from the Allman Brothers. You can't find the light that got you through the cloudy day. When the stars aren't shining bright, you feel like you've lost your way. When the candle lights of home burn so very far away, you got to let your soul shine, just like my daddy used to say. Soul shine, it's better than sunshine, better than moonshine, dang sure better than rain. Hey, now people don't mind, we all feel this way sometimes. Gotta let your soul shine, shine till the break of day. Grew up thinking I had it made, gonna make it on my own. But life can take the strongest man, make him feel so alone. Now sometimes I feel a cold wind blowing through my aching bones. Think back to what my daddy said. He said, boy, in this darkness before the dawn, let your soul shine. It's better than sunshine, better than moonshine, damn sure better than rain. And our people don't mind, we all get this way sometimes. Let your soul shine, shine till the break of day. Sometimes a man can feel this emptiness, like something has robbed him of his very soul. A woman too, she can feel this way. When your world seems cold, you gotta let your spirit take control. You gotta let your soul shine, better than sunshine, better than moonshine, dang sure better than rain. Hey, now people don't mind, we all feel this way sometimes. You gotta let your soul shine, shine till the break of day. You gotta let your soul shine, shine till the break of day. Let your soul shine, shine till the break of day.
Good morning. Thank you, Bobby. Good to have your voice back. Happy belated birthday. I believe it was your birthday last week. And just love to hear your soul shining through your voice. One of my favorite tunes. The message is very, very good. So I believe that if we go out there and we listen to enough of our songwriters, we'll understand that they're all writing from that place that Ernest Holmes talks about, which he says there's only one singer, one dancer, one writer, one expresser, and it's spirit through all of us, in us, all of us, all the time. And so to be in the flow and to be moving into a new space, as I was listening to Reverend Theresa, what I kept hearing echoing in my own mind was, if you want to do and have something different, you have to be and do something different. We can't keep doing it the same way. You know, we've all heard keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. That's the definition of crazy. So if you're looking for flow in your life, whether it's, you know, I've heard the gamut, you know, some from romantic, friendship, financial, happiness, whatever that flow looks like for you, you have to look at your life right now and see where you might not be in the flow. And for me, one of the easiest places to look is, am I participating in the flow of giving and receiving? And if I see something not happening there, and the simplest way is giving to those organizations, the organization where I'm spiritually fed. In this case, in addition to Center for Spiritual Living, there are other places my wife and I give, but in terms of my spiritual giving and spiritual food, it's the Center for Spiritual Living Cultural Coast. And so we have this Pillars program where you can give automatically through your checking account, and I heartily recommend it because it keeps the flow moving. You'll get a reminder from your bank to let you know that you're flowing by telling you that your energy flow of financial energy is moving out at a particular whatever date you set. So I highly recommend it. But if you are looking for flow, make sure you're flowing. And it's no better time than now, as we're anticipating the new year, as Reverend Theresa was talking about, is to start that by giving to your center. Start a new practice if you haven't already started it. And so I am just grateful for each one and the giving heart from which you are all giving, that giving heart that says, I recognize my spiritual growth and development. I recognize the flow of the universe as it moves in, through, and as me. And I am grateful for each one recognizing this and every moment. I am grateful for the gifts that they bring to the Center for spiritual living, cultural coast, and know as we are all flowing in that direction through that prosperity and activity, we prosper the center, and we are participating together in the creation of powerful ministry. So thank you all. Love and blessings. And back to Bobby. Thank you.
I receive the gift of life and pass it on. I receive the gift of love and pass it on. I receive the gift of joy and pass it on. I receive all good and pass it on. One more. I receive the gift of life and pass it on. I receive the gift of love and pass it on. I receive the gift of joy and pass it on. I receive all good and pass it on.
I don't know why, but I've been I've been emotional this morning. I've been emotional. Thank you, Rev G, for your sharing there at the time of our offering. And I was reading some of the comments, like I needed this, and oh, I'm so grateful for you, and for this message, and for Bobby's music, and all of that. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm overwhelmed this morning with this ministry, overwhelmed in a great way, with what we're doing. And when I read those things and I hear Rev G say, this is how you participate, I really want you to know that I need you too. I can't do what I do without you, whether you're sitting in a chair in a circle with me, or I'm seeing you on the screen and knowing that you're on the other side of this camera. And I just really am touched by that this morning. So I wanted to share that. I just have a couple announcements, and there's some really good ones. Rev G and I both have classes coming up that'll start in January. I know I'm not giving you very much time, but hopefully it's enough time for you to make your plans. Let's see. Reverend Emil's starts first. It is the spiritual principles and practices. I taught this at the beginning of last year, or earlier in 2020, and he'll be teaching it. It begins on Tuesdays, January 12th, and that's a 5-week course. And it is a basics. It is the spiritual principles and practices, the basics of Science Mind. So we take a look at the 10 principles that this teaching is based upon, the 10 universal spiritual principles or truths, and the practices that support that. It is a really fun, fast-paced class. You'll enjoy that one very much. And then I am going to be teaching Prosperity Plus 2, which is full spectrum wealth. This is dream building. It is a video-based class, so really I'm facilitating it. It's written and taught by Mary Morrissey, and I've taught the Prosperity series 1 and 2 many times. You do not have to have taken one of those. They're not there's not a prerequisite, let me say that. But we're going to look at tools, the things that block our success and the tools that help unlock that. And we're looking at wealth in every area of life. It's not just financial. And that is a 7-week course. And then I want to remind you, especially this morning, because of the talk that I just gave, the message that I just shared about the importance of mindfulness and becoming aware, being the listener to the thoughts and not identifying with them. Those are all things that we learn in mindfulness meditation practice and training. And Julie Birch is simply an expert in that. We are so blessed to have her here in our community and committed to teaching mindfulness meditation, committed to sharing that on a weekly basis. This is a free offering that she does. You know, love offerings are always accepted, but she gives this time because she knows how valuable mindfulness practices are in life. And so typically it's Thursday evenings at 6:30. Last week and this coming week on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve now coming up, she will do 9 o'clock in the morning. 9 o'clock in the morning on New Year's Eve, Thursday. You need to get the link for that. You need to be on our email, and it's always posted there, and you receive that on Thursday mornings. So you'll receive it at 6:15 in the morning on Thursday, and the meditation will be at 9, and then subsequent Thursdays, it's in the evenings. And with that, I am going to excuse myself and post the link for us to get together and chat, have a little social time, grab a cup of coffee, and sit down together via Zoom. I'm going to post the link now, and we'd love to see you. And I'm going to have Bobby come back up for a closing song. Mwah! Love you so much, and thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Theresa. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for being part of this. Thanks for your prayers and your good wishes. Thanks for your contributions. We're going to close it with a reminder. If you need prayer support, if you would like prayer support, prayer@cslculturalcoast.org is the email to email. We're going to finish off with I Release by Ricky Byers. Sing along, dance along. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. I am only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. I am only here for God. There was a time in my life, thought I'd have to do it all for myself. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. Didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you've got to let it go. Let it all go. And this is what you have to say. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide, and I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. I am only here for God. Once more, I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. I am only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit, and I'm only here for God. I am free in the Spirit, and I'm only here for God. Thanks very much, everybody.